Hey, Dad.
My son, how are you doing?
I am good. How are you doing?
I am blessed. God is good to me, so all is good.
Yes,
I'm over
Lord.
here getting ready for this recording as I'm thinking about your papa, my father, Louis Gidron, and getting ready to do this reflection about his life, his legacy, just some parts of what he's imparted into my life. But I said Louis Gidron, and actually Louis True Blue Gidron.
There you go.
Anyone who knew him to have the character of True Blue. At the homegoing services, your mom told me that she overheard somebody saying, "I didn't know his name was Louis Gidron. I just knew True Blue." And I said, "Why did somebody say that?" Just to think that they did not know him by the name that he was given at birth. They knew him by the name he lived in life.
Right.
You need to take what you saw in Blue and let people be able to see you that way, Speaking of nicknames, he also had a nickname for me. I don't know where it came from, but I embraced it. My nickname was Jack. I told you this. Jack. You said something one time when we was talking. You said, maybe that's why you like pepper jack cheese. I don't know. I like everything Jack, I guess. There are two times in life when I knew everything was good in the world. Everything was all right in the world. When I heard my dad laughing. He'd be laughing all loud all through the house on the phone. I would hear him from another room. And I knew when my dad was laughing, he was on the phone talking to his best friend, typically somebody, I knew everything in the world was just fine. Right. It was soothing to my soul to hear my dad laughing and enjoying himself. And then when he would call me Jack, I knew all was well. Call me by my nickname. Or when I went into the ministry, he called me Rail. And so either Jack, or he would say, Rail, come here. I'm talking to his friend. Yeah, Jack, But I saw him transition from Jack to a level of pride and respect for me when he began to call me Rail.
Right.
And so I loved to hear him call me son, but it was something when he would call me Jack or Rail by my nickname that impacted me. It was affectionate,
right. And then he called me little fella.
Call you little fella. That's right. As a matter of fact, I need to get you something that says little fella on it. It would be calling you little fella.
It had to say pop. My papa said little fella, because then everyone be like, "Oh yeah, you are little fella."
Yeah. That ain't but you to call me. My papa call me little fella. That was his name for you, little fella. He was definitely my king, my Superman, my hero, my professor, teacher, model, role model. I wish that every black boy, every black man could have what I had.
Right.
What I tried to give to you, and what you're going to give to my grandchildren and my great grands, But then to all people who are connected to us, I wish all women would make sure that their fathers, the fathers of their sons in their life, or father figures, because it makes a difference to have a man's teachings and wisdom and love in your ear. And let me tell you something about protector. A man protects in so many different ways. One of the ways that a man protects is to impart information into you and knowledge and wisdom into you, so that when he's not able to be in your presence as a father, that wherever you are, you hear his voice. You're walking in his teachings, and therefore his teachings are guiding you, and they are yet still protecting you.
Exactly.
That's a good father, But he did this for my mom as well, He would call my mom, but my mom would lean on him, like, King, Dad, and, Superman also, This one man was so much to all of us. And so today is not a day, this February 18th, is not a day to be sad. It's not a day of sadness or tears. It's a day of rejoicing and reflecting and thanking God and valuing the treasures that he imparted into our life to make our lives better. And every time I see this movie, I think about my mom and my dad. Sister Tyson said, I used to have a love like that. And they said, oh, I'm sorry. She said, don't feel sorry for me. She said, God bless me with what many young people would never, ever have. She said, he created and carved out somebody just for me. That's my mom and my dad.
There you go.
Something else God gave my dad that my dad asked for. He said, I want a daughter and a son. That's where Vanessa come in at. He said he want a daughter and a son, and he had a daughter and a son. And when you look at Vanessa, you see him. When you look at me, you see him.
Absolutely.
Complexion. I used to be like, Mama, why am I not your complexion? You're your dad. That's your dad. I knew you was your dad. Your dad knew you was his. I would say often, when you go to the store, don't leave out the store without your receipt. He said, get the receipt. You got to have your receipt. You got your receipt. You ain't got to say nothing. You just show them the receipt. You ain't got to say nothing at all.
Exactly.
Just shake your head. You ain't got to say nothing else. Just show them the receipt. Yeah. Even recently, I went to the store and I left out, got the product, gave her money, got the product, and she said, you want your receipt? And just the other day, I said, yes, ma'am. I said, my dad always say, get your receipt. 50 years old. And I'm still saying that because it matters not how old you are. You're still their child, but you're still walking in your teaching. Just like if you went to college. I feel like I went to Gidron University. and he also told me, I told you the same thing, to walk on the outside of the sidewalk when you're walking with
a young lady.
When you're walking with a lady. And some females, they wasn't used to it. Trying to walk on the outside. I said, can you go on the inside? Why? Can you walk on the outside? I'm protecting you, shielding you.
He said, when you shake somebody's hand, you grab it, you hold it tight. You hold it firm. That's how you, don't be putting your hand in nobody's hand weak. He said, you grab that hand and you hold it tight and firm, and you look them straight in the eye. He told me this as a boy. And so I'm going around with him many times, grown men talking to me, and I'm shaking their hand, I'm looking them straight in the eye, and they're looking at me like, well, who is this? Years later, taught my son the same thing. My son walking around, giving people a firm shake and looking them straight in the eye. And these are just lessons for anybody in life. Where I remember also teaching me, he said, if you have a drink and you out in public somewhere, or at somebody's house, don't leave your drink, whatever you're drinking, and then come back to it. Don't say I'm going to the restroom or going somewhere and then you come back to that drink. It was life's experience that taught him so much that even if he didn't go into the details of telling you why he was saying that thing or what allowed him to come to that conclusion or that gain that wisdom that he's imparting, he said it with such firmness and confidence and conviction. You knew you need to listen to it. You knew there was a reason he was saying it. And these are just some things, some of the simple things that my dad has taught me that stay with me every day, wherever I am. He said, you don't look down on a man. You never know who can tell you. He said, a bum on the street could help you out one day. You never know. Don't look down on nobody. And so when I see homeless or when I see what we would call a bum on the street, I give them respect, especially giving you respect too. I give them respect because you never know. They can be the one who can say, no, hey, don't go down that way. Don't go down that way, I remember we was young, went outside and came back in crying, talking about people was picking at us and they wanted to start a fight with us, me and my sister. And he was like, okay. He went to go get the belt. You can come in here and I give you the belt or you go back out there and handle it. I never did run in the house like that before again. We left out the house, we went back and we stood up for ourselves, and it taught me to make sure without being a wimp and running in. It taught me how to solve things where I was, I had some friends to go to him. They wanted me to go somewhere down in Healing Dales and play with them, go down there. We going down there. I said, I don't know where to go. Actually, I said, no, y'all go ask him. We'll ask him for you. We'll go ask him. They went knock. They asked my dad. I got a whipping that night. And I never had nobody ask nothing for me again. My dad feel like I'm your father. You got somebody else asking you for me. That taught me something. Those different things like that imparted so much into me that I naturally poured into my son, and expect of my son after I imparted them into him. And cooking, my dad believed in cooking. He said only the strong can survive. He said make sure you know how to eat. Make sure you know how to cook for yourself. And he would cook these stew pots. I love it. On a rainy day, I remember stew pots with everything in the pot. I learned how to cook from watching my dad and watching my mom. But when I would watch my dad, a boy needs to see his father cook something, have something how to cook. And then clean the house. Oh, he would love for us to leave out the house so he can clean that floor. That floor was nice and clean. He would buffer it. Even as a man, I would see him in the kitchen when I would go there to visit sometime and cleaning the kitchen and everything. And taking out the trash. And grooming, he would take a shower every night. Make sure he have his head shaved, have his cologne and stuff, put deodorant on and everything. Clean man. Groom yourself. You borrow money from somebody, don't try to avoid them. If you can't pay him right then, you say something. You call him. He's gotten on me about that before. Now, I didn't want him to get on me no more about that. And so what happened? That built me up as a man to know how to handle things. He always said, oh, you know if you owe somebody. He said, and if you didn't remember, when you see that person, you're going to remember that you owe them. My dad taught me how to be a husband. He was married to my mom for over 54 years. How to be a father, how to be a friend. He showed me how his friends could depend on him, just to be a protector, be a provider, to give confidence to your family that everything is going to be okay. The last thing I want to say is when the doctors told me that I had to go back to Duke University Medical Center because a tumor erupted in my head after I had some radiation treatment, and blood was coming out of my eyes, nose, and clocks of blood was coming out of my mouth. And I remember my mom coming over to me and said, go ahead on in the helicopter. I didn't want to go in the helicopter from Richard Memorial back to Duke University Medical Center. She said, go ahead on, we coming, we gonna come. I said, no, I had to hear my dad say it because I knew my dad was going to be doing the driving. I had to hear my dad say it was raining and storming that night. And he came to me, he said, we're coming. We're going to come. And because my dad said it, he gave me his word, I was so content and I was comfortable. And I could say, I'll go with y'all strangers in that helicopter up in the air because my dad said he's coming. And when I woke up after I got to Duke, after that pain medicine wore off and I woke up, they were there. And these are things that have built me, molded me into a manhood. They have an impact on how I have raised my son and how I just deal with life and deal with other brothers and young men and older men. Just deal with people in general. So when you see anything coming from me, even when I say yes sir, yes ma'am, 4 years old, my dad was stood us in the hallway and he said, this is how you do. My mom and my dad stood there. He said, this is how you respond to people. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. No, ma'am. No, sir. My whole life, whatever comes out of me that you think is worthy is because of my dad. And, of course, my mom. But I'm giving a salute to my dad today. As a man, I had confidence, vision impaired and everything, coming to Atlanta with my family, knowing I could make it because I had my dad in my ear, like a producer in your ear. I had my dad's voice yet in my ear. Even if I didn't talk to him every day, I was hearing his voice in everything I was doing every day. So I love you, Dad. Love you always. Continue to rest in paradise. Continue to rest in peace and know that your legacy lives on through me, through your grandson, and through every life that we impact with what you have poured into us, what you poured into me. And I thank God for my mom who made my dad a happy man and gave my dad a home and a love like no other. And he loved his family, and his family was there at the end with him. 1 year anniversary since my dad transitioned, and now he is our angel. Love you, Dad.